We have no tech produce or tech.
No tech in the champagne room. No tech in the champagne room.
Is there usually tech in the champagne rooms? Do they like have special effects and features? I'm just curious.
Smoke machines and disco balls.
In the actual champagne rooms? The champagne rooms are like small.
Are you talking about strip clubs?
Yes. You just said there's no tech in the champagne room. First of all, we're drinking water and we're not in a champagne room. But second of all, you brought up a valid question for me. I was like, I toured a huge strip club once, and there I don't remember any tech. They were just like small little rooms with like a couch, like or a couple couches across from each other, and like a table where they maybe put the champagne.
I think it's probably fairer to say that it's low tech in the champagne room.
I mean, they have light bulbs.
I think they want to keep it low lit on purpose.
Well, sure, you don't want to see it. I mean, like bodies are.
I think it's more to support.
Can be.
Yeah, support the intersection of whatever's going on there.
What? It's true. Intersections are happening everywhere, not just in anti-racist work.
Is it SEX in the middle of the section?
Intersectional.
No, C.
You could put it in there.
I totally dyslexic did that.
Well, no, but you could put it in there and then like copyright it and make it a thing, right?
I'm sure.
Wait, would that be copyright or would that be?
Someone's got that tattoo somewhere.
Intersection.
Intersectional. Oh. I
had a whole entire
I'm
thing.
I'm not base. I just came to get down.
I had a whole thing that I need to bring up. So I can't talk about.
Microphone.
I cannot talk about this without having a thing pulled up. We don't have a person to pull it up in real live talk, so I have to do it myself.
What does that mean?
It means, see that last thing on the list? I can't talk about the.
You need to pull up something?
I want to have my details straight from the news.
That's what I want to do. I wanted to look up this. So, the first pilgrims that came here on the Mayflower.
Yeah, 130 of them.
No, 100.
You told our son.
102.
But you named off like five boats. I named
the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria.
Which is incredible, first of all, that you can do that because I sure can.
Catholic school.
Just the Mayflower, that's all I had. And like barely I had that still, which is fine because, you know.
It's our Thanksgiving show!
Decolonize your mind.
It's our Thanksgiving show!
Give thanks.
Decolonize your mind. Give thanks.
Forget about the Mayflower. I'm joking. Kind of.
Welcome to another episode of Borderline Racist Marriage.
What, is that really?
That just happened.
Okay.
Decolonize your mind.
I guess I'm just supposed to like jump in there when you're ready to go. Okay,
well,
I'm going to try and
I didn't want to hesitate. I didn't want to hesitate because I felt like we were going to do more of the talking.
I learned how to do double Dutch very well, and I just feel like such a loser.
Double Dutch?
Double Dutch, like, I mean, wow. Is that
appropriation? What do you think?
Is double Dutch appropriation?
I'm asking.
I mean, I know how to jump rope. That's
but
so boring.
Do you think that, looking back, because since there's more wokeness now, is double Dutching?
Okay, my personal references to double Dutching, my association to it is like actual double Dutch, and like I never figured it out.
Did you hear my question about appropriation? Do you think that it can be in this new lens that we all are wearing?
Yeah, well, I feel like in this new lens that anybody's wearing, like anything can be appropriate. Like any.
So you're kind of playing it safe. It's not a black thing.
White people can appropriate.
You're not exactly
anything.
saying that it's a black thing, and I'm wondering if it is that.
You know what? I think it's probably as black as the hand clapping that we talked about in our first episode.
There was racist commentary in your hand clapping.
Absolutely. So it probably is appropriation, and it probably is whatever, and it's just a part of it. Also, like when we were in college age, we would on the dance floor. I mean, we pretend double Dutch. So like there'd be two people.
Call it double Dutch?
My friends and I, we were just had a lot of fun on the dance floor. So like two of us would, like one of us would start, and then another person would join in, and then somebody would catch that, and we would do invisible double Dutch in the club, in the middle of the club.
Yeah.
Y'all know we would do invisible double Dutch.
Is that real?
We would also do something called the flying squirrel. I mean, we made up all kinds of fun, crazy stuff.
Is that from your squad? Your
Yes.
So that's kind of cool.
Well, I mean, it's from like one of the squads. There are multiple squads, but that's from like the like live get down on the dance floor and like.
You have a Benetton squad and I have a Benetton squad.
Is that appropriation? Benetton.
Well, Benetton, no, that's like that company that
that's the company that had made sure that they
had every single race. Yeah. Like my squad.
Right.
Was like
always referred to it as
I remember walking through the
colors
mall.
of Benetton, right?
We walked through the mall and there'd be we probably walked around 5 to 7 of us at almost all times when we went out to like the mall.
Okay.
But I don't know if kids do the mall
Sometimes
stuff.
it would just be like 2 of us.
But our squad was a Benetton squad. Our dance squad was a Benetton squad as well. You can get all different flavors and mix it up. That's kind of interesting. So you had that little squad, Double Dutch. Double Dutch. So for me, the experience of Double Dutch for me goes back way back into time, 80s, and I want to say my introduction, my mom was telling me that she told me first that it's a really big thing to do, like the girls did it and it was like black people that did it. That's what it was, because they didn't have a lot of things, but they could definitely get a rope together, and rope was done in different ways.
I know it's in the movies. I know when we watch movies, we don't see white people outside doing that. I know that. That's a fact. Have you ever seen it? I mean, there might be a white girl. There might be a white kid.
Like Phoebe and Friends maybe doing Double Dutch. She would be the only one out of Friends that probably would have done Double Dutch.
Yeah.
When I think about it.
That's who people
with
like
black people, with black folks, and not even paying any mind.
Thanks. Yeah.
Kind of like this one, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Thanksgiving. This is our Thanksgiving show, and what I wanted to point out is that there was 100 people on that pilgrim voyage.
That one boat, though.
That one
Not
boat.
on all of them. That is
that's the boat that landed first.
Right. When we were in the car, though, you were like, there was 100, but you named off all of the boats. You said 100. I was like, I think there was like 100 people on each boat.
And I can't do anything but just talk about it. But what I remember is like 102 people on the boat. Hella people died, and only 4 women landed on the ground.
Yeah, like at least half of them died. Women and children. Children. If I'm correct, and I might be totally wrong.
70 people died.
Well, sure, but like none of the children died, if I'm correct. Like all of the children made it, and some of the women, and like a couple of the dudes like sailed back, and everybody was pissed off.
Yeah, they were mad because they didn't like how they didn't like people dying. They didn't like all the dysentery that they had. They didn't like the malaria that
Sorry
they
for laughing.
But here's what I'm trying to get to. Okay. What if like every other thing that we learn, that we spin in the world, Thanksgiving was really about like some real Thanksgiving. It wasn't like Thanksgiving, but like giving thanks. We just lost 70 of our people. All the kids made it. Only 4 women made it. If we're gonna make babies in a colony, we don't have enough to make this work. We need some help. I feel like
the word colony even like came about in the like later ons of like let's whitewash everything and write our own history since we've
I think
colonized. I think that it was like let's find a nice way to say we murdered everybody.
No, I think it's more like let's find a way to say that we did something really good when we just lost 70 people. So the 2 guys that left with the ship went back and they're like, it's crazy over there. I can't do it. There's so many animals. It's really pretty. I can't do it. There's no women. And then they get back and they're like, let's say that we colonized it. You said that there's 30 people that made it and all the kids made it and there's 4 women?
Oh, and then they started spinning it in the...
I'm saying like that was a spin.
Yes.
We've colonized.
And then they started spinning
a whole land
in the Europe motherlands.
The motherlands. I feel like that's what's going on.
That it was like it was good, and so that they could get more money for more people to get on and go. Okay, it's new.
Yeah, I feel
and then they maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is the thing.
Dumped people over there.
When we listen to how when we listen to how quickly information is given
and spun,
and then received and then spun. That's what's going on with this systematic America. I'm trying to find ways to talk about systematic racism in a way that dumbs it down so that we don't have the far right getting scared as shit and we don't have the far left.
The far right turning racism into reverse racism.
That part.
Yeah.
So some people, this is something I know that I don't know if anybody knows, but some people think Thanksgiving actually initiated from Christopher Columbus's voyage, which is absolutely untrue. Was it 1492?
It's in an Amy Grant song. That's the only reason why
1492? Well, his journey did not spark.
Jam out with
it's 1600 and something. Don't quote me, but maybe 1610 or something like that. When the Pilgrims arrive, and then Thanksgiving happens in that time. Probably like 1680 or 70 or something like that. That's when Thanksgiving happens, after people are making Indian white babies, people are getting murdered, and they couldn't farm, and they were having troubles building, yurts. I'm just throwing yurts out there because that just came to my head, and sometimes I think funny. But anyway, Thanksgiving, the dinner that happened was nothing like we promoting it right now. What do you thought? What's your thought?
I'm gonna butcher the name. That's my first thought. Am I saying it? Wampanoag. There were a couple of fellas, from a specific tribe,
right,
who are known for teaching.
Don't forget that we're taught this.
Well,
but yes.
No, this is actually what you're not taught. I wasn't taught. Yeah. I wasn't taught certain things in public school. And if I was, then I was taught in such a way that none of it stuck. All I remember during Thanksgiving in public school is we made, turkey hats or pilgrim hats.
Pilgrim hats was really the thing.
It was just turkeys and pilgrims.
No, but there's the bonnet. People did the black and white in the hat, the black hat.
That's what I'm saying. All it was about turkeys, pilgrims.
And Native Indians, right.
And Indians.
Right.
It took, let's get this straight.
What?
It took me a while to figure out. I was like, so East Indian? I was like, what? Indian and Indian? What's going on? It was this weird...
Oh, wait, so...
It's not euphoric. Euphoric is the total wrong word. But it's a weird, everything was just jambled and didn't make sense and was whatever. And then you just carry on through it because that's all the information that you have. And I'm speaking on behalf of the majority of Americans. I think there are some people who are smart enough who are wait a second, something's not adding up here.
Well, it's in... So what's interesting about what you're saying, and I'm not sure what age you quote-unquote figured it out or was confused by it, but very early on in my life, I was educated that the reason why they were called Indians is because he thought he was going to India.
Correct.
I knew that right off the bat. My first lessons were that. You knew that, right?
You said not right away. I didn't learn that until I was somewhere in high school. It was probably
So I wonder if they're not.
And I feel like it was almost secondhand information through friends.
Weird.
It wasn't in a class. Well, until I was in 11th grade, right?
But I'm thinking that I was actually educated in the system of education.
You may have been.
That taught me.
Private schools may have had
but I wasn't
been allowed.
Early. I wasn't in private school early. I'm talking early on.
Well, maybe the adults around you were just smart about
That's very interesting.
History.
But this is my thing. So people don't know about. We're celebrating Thanksgiving and people just celebrate it, and there's hella turkey grabs, and people are just doing this dinner, and...
Well, we're going to do a big dinner, too.
Yeah, we're going to do a big dinner. We're celebrating giving thanks, and we have a lot to be thankful for.
We're celebrating giving thanks, and then we're also going to eat a big, huge meal because, we joke, everything's on sale right now. I just got a huge bag of green beans for $1.99.
Shut up.
Yeah, and those potatoes, the bag of potatoes, $1.99.
Are they bad green beans? I got some bad green beans the other day from, Amazon! Amazon's slipping, man.
I've been returning your fruits and vegetables. That's why
they're coming from Whole Foods.
But it is a pandemic.
They messed up. Amazon's messing up Whole Foods.
They're not messing it up if you send it back, and it's
no, they don't send it back.
Shunned upon.
They do give you your money back. Just real
days.
Talk. If you're getting bad products from Amazon, they do give you your money back if you explain why. And be real and get mad and talk like a white person. I had to go total WHITE on these people. And I said, so what did they give me? What did I return? They returned, oh my God, I can't remember what they returned.
Everything, the whole grocery thing.
There was some food stuff.
Oh, donuts versus croissants.
Oh my God. So
I remember.
I went WHITE people on them. I went white people on them because I ordered croissants for my bougie 2-year-old and 6-year-old for breakfast. And then they replaced it with chocolate-covered donuts. And I was like, I had to think about how I'm going to say it.
Replaced, they just messed up.
No, it says replace. They actually told me we replaced it because it's the exact same price point. It was $7.99 for the croissants, which is crazy.
I don't understand how that works.
Oh, you don't even know how this goes down. $7.99 for the croissants. So their replacement item, which they don't interact with.
You must have wanted donuts as well. A human had to think that, or a computer did it?
From what I understand, there's a person that's bagging your bags, and they do it. And I've seen them walk around. Now there's so many people.
Maybe they wanted one of your donuts. Were they all there?
Yes, they were all there. From Uber to Grubhub to to this thing with Amazon, there's people that just do normal stuff who are making decisions for the rest of us folks. And they gave me donuts. So what I did is I went white people on them. I said, you have some nerve or some audacity giving someone who probably might have a sugar allergy more sugar than they're willing to take for their breakfast item. You have changed the Whole Foods' quality context by you approving something this ridiculous, and I'm appalled. I just talked like that kind of crazy talk because I was like that. But I don't know. That's funny to me, but I do that every now. I go white people code switching. We're not going to do a code switching show, but something you said that I wanted to bring up at the very beginning before we get going on our show.
Okay, that I wanted to bring up?
You said something about, family stuff. You were like, what we celebrate, because there's something about
our son brought it up. Okay, so our son brought it up. One of his little friends at school shared that he has an elf that comes to his house every holiday, right? And you're telling me that you don't never even heard of this, or you've just like heard it in passing, or have you seen the pictures, or like I'd like to know what reference you have.
Well, I understand what's been mistaken here. So, I have a very close friend who is in a parent-shared relationship. Yeah. They're raising the child together.
Yeah, and you know about that experience with the elf.
I only know... this is when you say experience, it sounds like there's some kind of like solid foundation. I just know that they did an elf thing. I thought that was just for fun.
They go like all out.
So, I saw... when I play it back in my mind, maybe 2 times in my whole time that they've been alive... That's my grandson, what we're talking about, by the way.
Grandson? Godson? You just said grandson.
My black. My godson, by the way, who is 9, 10?
Really? You don't know how old your godson is?
Am I fired?
Yeah, you're fired.
Okay. Well, how old is he?
8?
No, he's not.
Oh, wait, he just had another one that we couldn't go to because of a pandemic.
9, 10. I was right, 9. So I am not fired. Right. I'm still hired.
We were at Level Up, and that was super fun.
Yes. So anyway, let me just say this part. So for a couple of times, only in California, by the way.
We weren't at Drive by Nerf.
Only in California.
That would have been live.
Drive by Nerf.
That was what they did for the birthday this year.
They do go hard.
Well, it was because they in their own little pandemic group though, so they did.
Anyway.
Yeah. When
they lived in Valencia, I saw it twice. I thought, and it was elves for the Christmas holiday.
Yeah.
But it wasn't it wasn't a thing other than just an elf story. Because here's the thing. They do Christmas big. They did every single holiday big.
You're probably talking to the wrong white person about this because I don't know anything about it.
No, you're not understanding what I'm trying to tell you right now.
Okay.
You're asking me the question is, what do I know about it? Do I know anything? I know nothing about it because I only saw it happen a couple of times there. And they do every holiday big. I didn't think it was anything but just a thing that was happening.
At their place. You didn't know it was like all the...
I didn't know there was an actual thing that people are doing.
I'm pretty sure... Okay, I could be wrong about this. I'm pretty sure it's a white people thing.
First of all... Hello, white people Thanksgiving. Hello, white people Christmas. Hello, white people... It's all a white people thing. Full stop.
No, but I mean, elf... Yeah, yes.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm pretty... I think it's something that's been readapted from the 50s or something like that, or there's a movie or a book or I don't know. I honestly don't know because it's nothing that I ever grew up with. There was never an elf. There was never anything. That was not anything that we ever did. And so our son asked if we could have an elf at our house too, and I said that's not one of our traditions or one of our what do you call it?
Yeah, tradition is a thing.
We do Advent.
But when does the elf come? In Thanksgiving?
No, I don't know. I think all families do it differently, but there's an actual little doll that is an elf, and it's yay big, and then it gets into mischief and trouble and stuff, I think. Right? It got into the Oreo cookies at our friend's house.
That's his dad ate his Oreo cookies.
No, okay?
I'm so confused.
No, his mom, goes to the trouble of setting up little notes and little things every night to put the elf in different positions. And I think in another house, didn't his sister also have didn't their family didn't they have, and then if you touch it then something, I don't know. I don't know, I can't keep up. I think there's different...
It's very possible that my best friend and his sister, who I've known forever, they could be doing the same thing.
But different.
I'm confused about why it exists. I'm not confused about why white people make things up like this.
I feel it's a little bit Coca-Cola Santa Claus, but I don't know. It could be deeper than that. The tradition could be deeper than that. I don't know.
All I'm willing to say is that black people never do this. The only way that they do it is if they fully assimilated all white American philosophy.
I did see through Instagram on a friend of a friend's page.
A white friend of a friend? A black friend of a friend?
To be honest, I'm not actually sure.
I'm very interested.
I didn't dig. I know that the children in the picture were not white.
I'm very interested.
And neither was the elf. The elf was not white either.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
There was a Latina. Hey.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know what race. I don't know what culture.
So he was asking our son was asking if we could do this elf thing, and you said
just like
we celebrate. This is what I wanted to bring up. You said something I found.
What did I say?
What do you mean? What did you say? It's about our family.
Is it good or bad?
If you could just keep tracking what I'm trying to talk to you about. I'm trying to talk to you about what you said that was warm. Son, I want to tell him that we celebrate X and X and X. You want to talk about how do we celebrate Christmas? What are we focused on during Christmas time? Jesus, the life and the birth of Jesus Christ.
Sure.
This is what you were saying. It was your words. I'm trying to give you your words back so you can say them back.
Sure, and we even teach about, like, as far as Santa Claus goes, we teach about, like, the actual Saint Nicholas, and we teach about, like, you know...
Well, that we understand was not...
Well, I mean, there's a Dutch Saint Nick, there's a German Saint Nick, there's, like, Saint Nick in different regions and different areas.
And there's Tyrone from the Bronx. It gives you this little bag called Saint Nick.
A little what?
A little baggie. That purple kush.
Okay.
Just kidding. I'm not. And I don't smoke. Speaking of smoking, so we've been doing a number of shows.
Pivoting to.
This is my natural state, just pivoting.
And just riding the roller coaster.
Well, we had one of our associate producers who helps us with actually fact-checking what we're saying out loud and at least providing the information to us so that we can then put it at the bottom of the screen if you're watching the videos. One of the first shows she looked at was like, I'm so excited to see you guys do this because just knowing that Tuck, I can't imagine Tuck sitting anywhere for an hour and still.
Oh,
that's why I watch it.
Is that what we're pivoting to?
Yeah, well, because it's a perfect segue.
Oh, yeah. That was okay. I would have picked up on wherever you were pivoting to if you were like earlier in the car when you like said that thing and it was funny. Because it actually came up in real conversation. In real conversation tonight, I was like, or maybe we could address why I look like a drug addict in all of our episodes and can't keep still. So I am progressively working really, really hard on staying more still when I sit next to Leonard, who's so good at staying still and on camera because you're a professional.
I'm not because I'm a professional, it's because I'm overweight.
Oh.
And so my whole center of gravity is in my
You're
butt.
also a professional.
Yeah. But no! Don't tap anybody's Buddha.
Why?
It's like tapping a black man's hair. No, it's not.
I do love your body.
But it's... And scene.
Are you gonna cut it out? Or are you gonna sip loudly on purpose?
No.
Okay, well, I was gonna say you're a professional, so like he knows how to behave on camera. Well, I'm not, first of all. And then second of all, I move a lot. So my joke earlier was like, well, I joked and I kidded and I said, you know, like all the white people, they throw all of their kids into all of the activities and then see what lands or what sticks. I joked about that. I honestly don't believe that that's like a white person versus any other whatever thing. I think that is a privilege thing.
Let's own that. Yeah.
We can own that. I mean, I don't mind owning that at all, but I also realize that what it is it's a privilege thing. People who have the means to put their kid into all of these activities.
Yeah, tennis, lacrosse, soccer.
I didn't do any of that. We weren't that rich. But
my point is...
Gymnastics, piano, dance.
Boom.
At some point I was taking a sewing class. I think I took art classes. Like, there was always extracurricular everything going on.
So,
right? So
let me just ask you a question.
I can't.
Let me ask you a racist question.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Name 3 sports or activities that is very commonly something adorned by black families and what they place their kids in. Just because. I'm giving you the room.
A racist.
Well, I mean, not racist, but what do you think the cliche places that they get to go and get to do? What are the 3 sports?
Football and basketball.
Boom.
And what's another one? I mean, I was going to say soccer, but I don't think that's it. I don't know the sport. Baseball?
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Football, basketball, and that's going for male and female.
It took me a second to get that last one there. But, yeah, that's okay.
So, here's a... And
those are the top 3,
things,
like,
right?
American... Like...
Yes, and so the reason I bring that up... I love these segues. I've been grappling... I'm going to continue to grapple with systemic. The word systemic and why people are fighting it. Why people, like, on the right, or why people are, period, just... fighting it and saying systemic racism, even if you're on the left or the right and you're talking about it, systemic to me, even though they're talking about a governmental systemic, plays into like this little nuance where it's like, what are the things that are privileged to people that are not ethnic? Because ethnic people kind of have the same mode of whatever. If you ask the same, if you ask the same question or ask the same question about what do you think Latino families typically go to, football/soccer is going to be one that they go to as a common practice. Period. Baseball is another one you're going to see, but you're not going to hear basketball and you're not going to hear football. Mm-hmm. Right? Those are the things that happen in that kind of dichotomy. Now, there's cultural appropriation. There's racial appropriation, and then there's social appropriation. So when I think about systems, if the dominating system or the race that is most prominent in this country, like white America, then people are assimilating towards something, but then they're appropriating something if they're reaching and grabbing. I feel like the battle is kind of... I'm trying to understand why the people on the right are so butthurt. And typically what I'm hearing in their argument is like...
Well, I don't even think they're allowing themselves to be hurt is one of the things.
No, but see, not hurt. Butthurt. Like, mad, butthurt, what I mean is like...
Mad?
I'm mad and I'm just going to stay mad. Yeah. Because, I'm going to go play football.
They pretend like they're not mad.
Well, we created football. American football, and I'm gonna go send my son to go.
Which is like just glorified. It's even.
Why are you guys mad? You guys are fast.
Which is which? Is football glorified rugby, or is rugby glorified football? Like which is which?
Because none of them is glorified. Rugby's the truth. Like
all I'm saying is that isn't football kind of like dumbed down rugby? Then
I see what you're saying.
There's a ball and they tackle.
Here's
and
my
they
thing.
Like I don't know. We could do a couple.
I have no way to prove this. I did this when I was younger. I probably was in high school when I was telling really whack jokes in the band room. This is something I thought a long time ago. I thought white people got together and said, we want to put stank on football with the U, and we don't want them to... A long time ago when they created the football, the game, they actually call it football because they didn't want the world to know the other football with the soccer ball.
Interesting.
I used to think that was the reason why, because it doesn't make sense that it's called exactly the name of something else.
Because they knew that we, like, what... I'm not...
White racist people... I'm just making stuff... White racist people were like, you know what? We got this new game that we just created, and let's call it the same thing that everyone else is in Latin America is calling it, so ours is better. Let's call it football.
Well, and I kind of thought it was interesting that, like, they barely touch it with their foot, except for when the kicker comes out and does does their field...
Football?
What is it called?
What'd you call me?
They kick a field
goal. Yeah.
Hey!
Football.
Learn a new term. Sports term.
I think that it was called football... This is the same thing. I've always had a problem with the word hamburger.
They kick it off, too.
This is like football and hamburger kind of similar to me.
Hamburger is not big...
Has it ever been?
No.
I don't think it's ever been.
It could be, I suppose.
No, but I don't think it's ever been.
People put bacon in their burgers.
No, but that's new. I'm talking about when it created it. I think football was created because of this is what
there are a lot of things in America that just don't make any sense, and they don't make sense to us.
I know, but I'm getting it. I'm starting to learning, and I'm feeling so good about it. Okay. White men are the ones that are the problem. I want to say something. So about the football. No, so the football thing I think is that they were because they're running. What are we doing? We're running on our foot.
Well, how? Okay.
So that's why I call it football.
I feel like it's just kind of dumbed down rugby. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely correct.
Like when we've been to rugby, I'm like, dang. And then when I'm watching football, I can sometimes be like,
my brother was a beast at rugby.
Back in the day when I used to watch football with my dad, it was like used to be kind of rough and tough, and then it like over the years it's gotten lighter and lighter and lighter, and like let's not get concussions and injuries.
Right, not kill people.
Which they're still getting.
Ruin their seeds because the concussions lead to like.
Well,
impotence.
it's kind of between between politics and American sports. It's kind of like our what's that? Hunger Games. It's like our Rome, you sit in the thing and then you bring the people out and they battle, like you put them up against lions.
Wow.
Except it's usually slaves or prisoners who they put up against. Isn't that how?
I'm sorry for being so wowed by what you're saying. In a way, I'm not really sorry, but
I'm talking about like history.
What you're doing is also painting this really vivid picture of what our society is too.
Yeah, well, modern day Rome. A lot of people argue. They're like, oh, well, kind of modern day Rome.
I mean, like just on the same microcosm of talking about sports for that brief moment we did. What are things that people that are privileged order when they're ordering food into their home versus people that are not privileged or people that are of color? What are they ordering to their house and what are they ordering to their house? And it's interesting, like I'm talking about when I was growing up, but I have no idea how we can even look at this right now.
Like fast food, not fast food.
Because you can order so many different things, but back in the day, ordering pizza was a humongous thing for a black family. Because, you know what I'm saying, economically, to commit to ordering pizza was like a big deal. To go to a pizza place happened, but not as frequent as maybe
Little Caesars.
Yuck, but not as frequently as white folks.
You didn't like Little Caesars. I feel like
I didn't even know Little Caesars until I was in high school, and I feel like we did that because we pulled our own money together.
I wasn't really big on Little Caesars either, but I feel like people who I was around they were like really dug it and they were into it.
But you have a great unique thing. You're like are you comfortable saying you grew up poor white trash? Is that like a way to look at it?
Or am I comfortable saying I grew up poor
I mean, you said it earlier, but I don't like that we're saying it now in front of the people. So
You're saying it so much worse than I said it. That's okay. I like it. It's fine.
You did trailer park.
Yeah. We were also driving right by where the trailer park that I grew up in was, which reminded me of like where we built snowmen by the water reservoir and stuff.
There's this rap artist, a white dude, who's
Trailer Park Trash was what
this white dude talks about. He has a song about talking to black people, saying, "Don't hate me because I am trailer park trash." If you think I'm, basically saying, I'm not calling you guys the NIGGER people, but what I am is just as equal to you. Like there's a white rapper that's kind of talking in that vein.
Who actually says I'm just as equal to you, because that's
what I suffer through is the same. It's kind of like the story you were telling me about.
Well, no, honey. There are certain things that may intersect, but it's not the same.
Your honey? Are you telling me honey?
No, I'm saying honey figuratively to whoever you're speaking about.
Got it.
I'm calling him, whoever he is, honey.
I have a little thing that I've been thinking about, and I'm just going to ask you this question. I feel like here's what I love about interracial marriage, our interracial marriage. I think interracial marriages should happen more. I feel like we get to be spies. It's kind of a trip. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wait, what are they doing over there? Shut up. They're doing what? Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on over here. And we get to share this really kind of top secret stuff. But here's something that I just stumbled upon this last week.
Okay.
So you're gonna be the model for it. I'm gonna be the model for it, and this is for everybody that's watching that actually cares about what we're talking about. But I mean this mainly for white people, white individuals, brotherins and sisterins. Raise your hand if your father was racist.
Wait, what did you say?
Raise your hand if your father was racist.
For white people.
Yeah, for people. If everybody raises it, I want everybody to do it. Like, raise your hand if your father was racist. Raise your hand if your grandfather was racist. Raise your hand if your great-grandfather was racist. Raise your hand if your great-great-grandfather was racist.
I don't know when they came over sometime.
So, here's the thing that I was thinking about.
They might have been racist back in
Hear me out for a second.
Europe, too.
If you did this kind of lab of raise your hand if your father was racist, and I'm not even going to talk about mothers. For one, I don't like to ever talk about mothers in that vein because of my upbringing. I talk about my matriarchal dictatorship.
So I can't talk poop about men all we want, but not about.
But here's women. The reason why I think it's necessary is because that masculinity, that's toxic masculinity that I would have anyway, but I have because white toxic masculinity has literally created the dichotomy that we all are living in. I want to get to it. When people talk about systemic racism and they're not able to understand it's not real, this is the reason why it's real. When you raise your hand and go, well, okay, Was they? Maybe they weren't racist. Maybe my dad wasn't racist. Maybe his dad was. Maybe his great grandfather. Like, I want that system. When you start to go through that system,
and you're also leaving it up to whatever people in their own heads consider to be racist, right? Like, that's
right. But what I'm not trying to do in that little lab, basically, is to point at racist. But I'm trying to talk about how interesting it is when you go and you look at people of color, and you think about how that raising of the hands might go. It's very close to nil, that people are going to be like, yeah, they were racist. Unless you adopt the thing that you've been trying to... I feel like you've been teaching me what is going on in the streets.
Well, I mean, is it racist to hate the people who...
oppressed you?
That's the question, right?
Right. And that's what I don't
Is it
agree.
even possible to be racist toward the whole system of people? And who?
So this is where I say that here's where
towards people who are
that. Let's pretend there's a wall here. That as a whole is a perfect. I don't agree that it's racist to hate your oppressor. But then on this side, when I'm looking at the people of color side of the game, when I try to include everybody in my heart and soul when I think about this. Spanish Latino people will say they hate black people. I've heard it in the Californias.
California.
I'm just saying that's the only place I've ever heard it, really.
Correct. There's a lot.
But I've heard it, and it's real, and it's visceral, and I can't really put my hand on it or whatever it is. But I think it is because of just how one racial group works so hard and is about family and is about that keeps it together because they're not getting plucked out on purpose and arrested, pulled over on purpose and shot. I'm thinking, and I don't know, but I'm just going to go about this.
I'm just thinking that, like, it was, I mean, there's got to be, like, some kind of, like, plotted, I'm sorry.
Oh, you mean like plans and, like,
yeah.
No,
like, let's
that's
do this
deep.
and this for this group and do this and this for that group.
That's deep.
And provide this and this and put a liquor store here for this group.
That is
and then
so
with this group,
deep.
we're going to do that.
My God, yeah, because the redlining we didn't do. Nobody of color did the redlining. No one divided they didn't put a freeway and put people over here. I only know this because I know about San Diego because my mother's father lived in San Diego, and their house was on this line where they were going to put the freeways, and then they basically stole his house from him. This is where the black affluent people were growing, and then they diminished it by putting freeways there, which changes that dynamic because that's a through line to the main artery to the big cities, and now their white people are moving in there. But in places like that, since that was so long ago, forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, but I think it's like Chula Vista or something like that. What happened in another effect is that these white people moved there because that was a through line, and then they moved out, and then people moved back, but they're divided by freeway H's. I call them H's instead of like crosses because like you see a freeway and a freeway like this, and then these freeways, and if you're in that box, that's hood, really, really hood, and then these outskirts will be something else. And so I think that's, I don't know, but you just touched on something that's really big.
I'm just thinking that, they've got the time to think up things like that with all that
the
privilege.
they, right? And the they is
just
not
really
white
powerful
women.
white men.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they're women. I mean, like, and they're powerful white women who run their whatever funds. Trust.
So what
are they called? Their
trust funds?
Not their trust fund. That too. Whatever they have.
I heard a TED talk of this lady that I will not quote because I just don't want to prop her up. She's no offense. I mean, I'm not anti-white, but she was a white lady who was talking about Trump's first run of presidency, and she is a feminist, and she was talking about how she started formulating in her feminist. Feminism. She started formulating how important it was about her feminism, and it really was to counteract toxic masculinity. And she was exploring the word toxic. I mean, how toxic masculinity is. But then she was also saying, "I got it because of white toxic mix. I got feminine." She realized that her feminism came from how she didn't like how men in her life who were white were.
Okay.
She was being a feminist, but she didn't know how it began, but it began because she was basically around that. She also went to college and saw other races, and then, she
was around all the yuckies and didn't fall for it. And then she's like, we just voted. This is the first when he ran in 2016. When Trump ran in 2016, she said 52% of the vote was white women. Mm-hmm. And so she was like appalled. This is a
predator. This is a sexist, misogynistic.
Yeah, sure.
So
Clearly.
we keep putting the people that demonize us as women in positions to demonize more than us.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that's why I was kind of like doing that little lab, like raise your hand if your father is racist, because this is what I think people are not. I'm trying to help the people on the right that are like, because I saw a couple of things. I saw some former military dudes that are Proud Boys who look just actually scared. They don't look
sure of themselves.
Sure of themselves.
They're not.
Because they're like, I feel them going, well, what am I supposed to do next? If I accept what you're doing, what am I supposed to do
I've never
next?
seen any of them look
Sure
of themselves or confident.
Educated.
Or educated.
I mean, I don't mean like stupid, but I mean educated in like any of this logic. You bring it up all the time. Like, this just right there, you could go grab a book. They're not grabbing a book, but what they do need to understand is like, don't be afraid of the fact that, I mean, I guess you could be afraid. Like, it's very fearful when you think, okay, so if we're completely wrong, if all of my fathers are wrong.
Okay, so unfortunately, what a lot of these racist groups are doing is they are hiding behind patriotism. They're hiding behind Americanism. They're hiding behind the American flag. They're hiding behind patriotism. They're hiding behind, good old boy type of stuff. Like, they're hiding. So,
right.
So they're doing that, and that's how they get people in. Like, don't you care about your country? Right? Like, they do that. No, but then once they've got you in that haze, this is why they are terrorist groups. Like, this is why they are considered to be, like, this is why they are I mean, I guess it's only happening at statewide levels that they're being deemed. I don't know if they're at a national level being deemed as terrorist organizations right now.
Talking about Proud Boys. Proud Boys is not a terrorist group.
Well, that's debatable. I would say it's debatable.
There's militia people in Proud Boys.
Exactly, but this is what they do, right? Like, that's how they function and how they work. You get in, like, it's like all misty up here and you're talking about patriotism, and then, like, what's underneath that is some really crazy stuff. Like, it doesn't take that long to, like, find a Proud Boy and look on their thing and see, like, what kind of crazy crap actually seeps in and creeps in that is totally straight up KKK type racist stuff.
But they're not KKK.
Like, Christianity is tied heavily into it.
I don't like hitting anything. Christianity
really,
is beautiful
truly
because
is for a lot of it.
Wait,
okay,
so
but what I'm
saying?
saying is they're hiding behind patriotism and religion, and
to give them the right to.
And then they just psych their weak little minds out into devoting their lives. I mean, it's like any other terrorist organization in the world. They'll fly an airplane into a building.
You were saying earlier, like, this whole buzz.
Extremists.
Yeah, this whole buzz of extreme. We're now locked in for like 10 years of bad stuff because these groups are cultivating themselves. What I was going to say is the reason why the militias go into this Proud Boys thing, because the Proud Boys are quote unquote welcome in the space. When the militias walked into the space earlier on, when they had
they're welcomed by the system.
I want to talk about a couple
by the system.
Yeah,
they're welcomed by police officers into the space.
But let me mention a couple of historic things. Some things that just happened in this last 7 months. Do you remember at the beginning when those guys were marching with? Last year they were marching with their torches at the school
and their khakis.
Yes. So there was militias and racists and there was what do you call it, KKK and Aryan Nation guys walking in that, right?
Yes.
A lot of them got arrested. A lot of them lost their jobs immediately and that was a problem to them. So then they went, okay, now what do we do? Proud Boys is brand new, right? So Proud Boys, it's like a spin-off, but it also allows them to recruit.
Yes.
Because like you're saying, all the things you were just saying is like propaganda for a group.
It's propaganda to get them into, like any other.
But this is what I'm trying to touch on. Since we have...
I mean, there are other ones too, the Boogaloo whatevers,
So the Boogaloo Boys are the real deal.
Right.
Like, they're bad.
I know.
Yeah. And I'm trying to touch on the people that are not just bad, not fully bad, but are like trying to say, but this is what...
The shapeshifter.
But there's the ones that are like the antagonist in that situation. And I'm talking about the white people that are like, I've never been around black people. I've never won a race. Like the guy you told me about, you found on that's upset and stuff like that. where reverse racism, I'm trying to understand what reverse racism is.
Well, sure. Okay, because there are people who are white who grew up in really maybe even shitty situations where they were poor. Maybe they were in a freaking trailer park.
I want to help those people,
but they're
be okay with everything.
A white person who's in a neighborhood that is not predominantly white, and maybe they're getting their. And this particular person was saying that they were getting their ass kicked every day by black people and Mexicans.
Grew up in Texas, right, or something like that.
Right, some little place in Texas somewhere, like was born and raised and grew up there and said he got his ass kicked every day. Well, obviously, like when I'm talking about racism, I go, well, you obviously don't know anything about, being white and growing up in DDD, Texas, and getting your ass kicked every single day by blacks and Mexicans or whatever. So that was the comment. I mean, I don't know if I had the right response, or I don't ever know, honestly, if I had the right response. I said, well, were they black and Mexican police officers? Right. Was the system on their side? Like, were the courts on their side? And was, did it affect you getting a job? What's the, anyways, it just.
So, in the light of being thankful, look, this is what I'm thankful about. I'm thankful about anybody that is trying to formulate how to help or argue against racists and racism. So anti-racism requires you being accountable, checking your shit, trying whatever you're trying. Like, I see through the lens of you, like I was talking about this little spy game we get to see. I'm seeing some stuff go down that I'm like, dang it, that is crazy. That it's coming at them fast and it's coming at you fast. Mm-hmm. I lost you for like almost 36 hours one day because you were in the middle of some battle that was going on.
That had to do with a council member where we live.
But can I just preface it before you talk about it for a second?
Sure.
Right now, there's a lot of people that are looking for a way to participate and get proactive and join groups, but they don't want to be called far left, and sometimes they don't want to be called far right. So they're trying to figure out how to, combat this.
But
racism has to be attacked. And you are going to get called up, but racism has to get attacked for real. And so what you've been doing is very proactive with your.
Man.
So I know you're not going to give yourself, and you know what? You should never. You should suffer that humility right there. But it's like when you tell me not to apologize for something, like when I talk about my emotions. Like, don't apologize for not knowing what to say, because that stuff has never been done before. There's no practice in it.
No, there are some people who are pretty who have practiced it for longer, and like the more you practice in these conversations, the more intuitive you get, and the more just things solidify, right? The statistics and the stuff, and like things become very predictable. Well, a lot of it is that the people who are racist or who have these things, like, they're very predictable. They have the same spiel. They have the same few spiels of, like it's a bootstraps thing, they peel themselves up from the bootstraps. Racism happens everywhere. And they have like the all lives mattering type of thing. Like that.
It's what I find that's interesting is that it seemed to become, and forgive me for not having a good phrase, but they become sort of benumbed. And I feel like males are talking to women, white men are talking to white women and getting checked on their racism, and to me, they look like they seem to have to demean you as a woman in their context.
Oh, a lot of them go straight into like personal attacks, especially on the fact if you're a female who's talking to them. I wish more white men would step up to the plate and shut people down. I'm sorry. In a thread of 150 to 200 comments on this thing that I'm talking about, as far as like a city council member doing some nonsense, which maybe we'll get into, maybe we won't. We may not have time tonight. But I think what's important is that in a spiel, like in comment, there's like 150 to 200 comments of on this post, weighing in on whether or not what this particular council member said, whether or not it was racist or not. Right? And what's interesting, I think, maybe most to me, rather than what she said, because it was a common thing, or what other people were saying, was perhaps the fact that there was one or two white men, maybe, who spoke up out of oh gosh, I don't even know, 20 people, maybe more, 30 people. I don't know how many. I lost count, and that's just in one of the places that I posted.
Wow.
That was the reasonable neighborhood group where people respect each other and there's more boundaries. And the one that wasn't, it was just like a total racist shit show of like white men just
every single person that I know that claims Antifa is a white woman.
Right. Or a goat, I said. Or a farm animal.
So anyway,
I don't know why that is. I don't know why is Antifa so farm related and white lady related.
I don't know what you're talking about with this farm.
It's not okay. So I don't think. Okay, here's the thing. I am pretty sure Antifa is still not a thing. I mean, if it is a thing, then cool. Or maybe it's been a thing. I can only speak personally.
Yeah. Is there maybe there's okay.
I mean, okay, I've ran a few things through in my head, and I'm thinking either Trump knew, either 45 knew. I feel like I can say his name now that he's like totally voted out and gonna be gone. I'm like, I can call him Trump again.
There's a bunch of other backup Trumps. So be careful.
I know. I'm not gonna get too ballsy with that one.
Yeah.
But I feel like either maybe there was something maybe starting to form, like a bunch of
Antifa.
white people.
What does it mean? What's the acronym again?
Anti-fascist. So the term apparently comes from World War II, where we were literally fighting Nazis.
But Antifa did? Or anti-fascist?
Anti-fascist, and it's a shortened term for Antifa. It stands for anti-fascist.
Right, so I kind of feel like he maybe put a little zing on it. Someone in his group maybe put it out there to help him.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking, at most, he had some kind of little intel thing and then, ran with it. But it didn't exist. Or he just pulled it out of his butt one day and was like, this is what we're gonna do. I don't know, or something. I
think I've cracked the Antifa nut personally, and I think I know exactly. So there are people that are out there in those
extremists with
first of all, I'm not gonna use
So
they're called extremists. So there's people that are dumb, that are typically, from what I've seen, from actually being involved somewhat in protest. Let me finish. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak over you.
That are wearing black on black on black, and they're out there hitting Starbucks and banging up walls and lighting stuff on fires. Rioting. Those kids, mind you, I think they're 20-somethings, are going to do that at the house anyway. They're already jacked up, and they're not able to go shoot up a school. I think there's some crazies out there that are out there being
just
real sloppy.
Just jumping onto one or the other.
They're doing whatever's going on, but they're they're not going to jump on the right people. The people from the right weren't out there in the beginning when George Floyd went down, and they weren't out, so the people on the right weren't out there yet. But Antifa, quote unquote, these people got to go out there and go bang up stuff because there's riots all over it. They're like, this is what it is. This is our WTO.
Well, there's actual anarchists.
Yes, I understand. Anarchists have always been around. But here's the thing. This is the thing that I think, the nut that I cracked. I believe some very smart moms that are white said, you know what? Fuck this. We're Antifa.
Yeah.
We're going to call ourselves Antifa because that makes it easier for them or easier for us to do and say what we're going to do. Thank goodness for those women in Portland. Man, those moms wear that joined shoulder. Like that right there, I don't care. So here's how I have no idea what they're doing.
They also white-ladied all over the place and got kind of problematic, though. I don't know if Oregon's
What do you mean, in their tops?
I don't know if Oregon's did. I know Washington State's got.
So let me just talk about it from the part where I don't...
And then the dads came out with their blowers.
I just want to talk about it. I just want to talk about it from the place that I don't even give a fuck. I don't care what the white people are doing and how they're breaking up their relationships and losing their husbands and stuff like that. I do love everybody, but if they are causing problems and are being problematic, what I do want to be thankful for is the fact that they showed up. As scrappy as it may be, and as if they were called Antifa, or if someone believes
Wall
that...
of moms.
The Wall of Moms. I like the Wall of Moms. I think that was tight. That was just tight as an aesthetic. But here's the thing. That I think that Antifa people are actually doing a little trick, a little spin themselves by saying that they're called Antifa and just doing the right thing.
Well, they owned it. Well, a lot of people who were just protesting started, and a lot of people just even on the internet who maybe weren't protesting.
They're like,
I'm Antifa, then count me as Antifa.
You know what I'm saying? I totally get it.
A lot of people, and I did. I
don't even know what fascia.
I wouldn't mind saying
I don't know what anti-fascia is. Isn't that water in your body? What?
It's a muscle in your body.
It's not one muscle. Isn't the liquid in your body fascia?
Tensor fascia. I'm pretty sure tensor fascia lata goes down the leg, and crosses over.
Fascia, anti-fascia.
Goes down this.
Anti-fascist.
Tensor fascia lata. Latte.
So you said that it came from
It's been a
World War
while
II?
since college.
It came from World War II?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
Every time I think about
you know,
that
this
time.
show is us talking
from
about what we don't know.
We're so
I know.
professional at this.
We're not professional.
No, we're not.
What is it called when you're a expert?
Yeah, we're
We're just
definitely...
experts at being ourselves. We're not experts at any of this stuff.
That's
but,
pretty funny. Yeah, I feel like that.
But,
you can't be me.
I don't know. We got off track. I was going to say something and you were like, let me talk.
No, I was just trying to finish what I was talking about, how the people, how the Antifa ones that are doing the bad things are.
But what I was going to say, and this is something I said in the car earlier tonight too on the way home, was I feel confident in saying, in what experience I have had protesting or what experience I have had as far as involvement. For every one, call him crazy, maybe white dude who's got a Black Lives Matter tattoo on his neck and who's going to kill somebody, like who's gonna, maybe shoot somebody at a protest because they got like rowdy and there was something, and then later on get totally riddled with bullets by the police. For every white dude who's got that black, fist on his neck, who may be, considered extreme for whatever that is, I'm fairly certain there's at least like 100 or 150 like crazy hillbilly white dudes with dark sunglasses who are all ammoed up, who are, that teenager guy who just got out on $2 million bail. Screw that guy. I'm fairly, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, you got, like, those of you who are like that, like, it's not necessary. That's what I want to tell. Like, it's not, like, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? You're saving a business that's not yours from, like, what on earth? Like, you're just there to cause problems.
I don't understand.
They're really just showing up to hurt people of color. That's what they're showing up to do.
No, but they think that they're showing up to stop the Antifa, by the way.
And go further down the road.
They think they're stopping Antifa, who is employed by Black Lives Matter, who is fed money from Hillary Clinton, who drinks baby blood.
And none of that's true. It's not true. The organization Black Lives Matter.
You can't say that. How do you know it's not true?
Because
you can't know that it's not true. It's gotta be true. My president.
A movement is a movement, and if the DNC is going to give money, then they're going to give money, and it's going to be whatever it is. Nobody's drinking blood.
Baby blood.
No Clintons are drinking baby blood.
How do you think?
We do joke about it though. Like a lot of Antifa did hop online and they were like, Biden won, let's go eat babies. Like, there was a lot of joking about it.
You guys are talking about eating babies?
Some of my friends were. It's like, joking.
Yeah.
Gotta get them toes. Like, hey, we're talking about super healthy moms who are in families with their own children and who are like professionals. They were,
Yeah, I'm trying not to let my cynical, comical brain take over me, but let me just think about this for just a second here. Okay, so what if your baby blood drinking is crazy talk?
I'm just looking at. Okay.
What is it that you wanted to talk about? You said so. You got some.
I don't know. Well, I was talking about something, and then we got all the way off of it. We started talking about activities, and then you went off on things because I was talking about, like what, why I'm so fidgety.
Yeah, but we don't just sit with that for a long period.
Well, I never got to explain why. We ended up going into a tangent, which is great and fine, but it never was like.
Can we take a small break so I can fix something, and then we'll do it?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Can you help me hit the buttons? Can you hit that black button right over there? That little square.
Okay, let's stop.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit this one because something happened with my audio. There you go.
I think stop calling somebody an N-word you should get locked up if it's proof that you called somebody an N-word. That's how I feel about it. I think that's... What do you think about that? Are we being filmed? Yeah. On one camera. We're not being filmed on that one up there.
Yeah, no, all the cameras are filming.
That one isn't count. Oh yeah, it's blinking. I just can't see it because it's covering your shirt.
You think that?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know we were.
I think it should be considered a hate crime, but I think it should be.
I think they should get prosecuted. I don't know about locked up, but they should be prosecuted with a hate crime, and they should suffer a consequence, and it should go down in record that it's a hate crime, that they did a hate crime. I think there needs to be documentation of something like that. If it's very rarely proven. I think, like I feel like they're sneaky MNFers. I'm spilling on myself. I'm getting sloppy. It's late. Getting sloppy.
I think that's the equivalent of like sexual harassment. Since sexual harassment can be such a.
I don't know if we can draw equivalence between.
No, I'm not talking about how it feels as a woman or a man.
Well, no, but I mean, like, you mean like by the like
that
how they should get prosecuted.
Yeah, because maybe you're right.
And then do they get charged more if they say it to a 14-year-old?
It's like it's
or a 17-year-old to a kid.
Forgive me for this big of a word, but it's like rape.
Well, apparently,
2
years ago it wasn't. In Edmonds, Edmonds, the manager of a bar could brandish a baseball bat and threaten kids and call them the N-word, and then, what happens? I mean, they get charged.
Did they get charged?
They did get charged.
With what?
Aggravated assault? Well, that's what I was trying to read about, but I didn't have time.
I don't know that we need to get specific about this charge, but is it something? It's probably something like that. You're thinking that someone should get locked up if they're doing it. So that's exactly what
I'm
happened.
thinking that they have to serve a consequence, a hard, big consequence, if they are out there throwing the N-word around in 20 whatever we're in right now, and especially to children. I don't know. I feel like that's even more offensive for some reason. But
well, I mean, that's what basically that lady's doing to the 13-year-old
up the street from our house. That's what happened 2 years ago. Down the street from our house and around the corner, 10-minute drive from here, where and we're happy. We're happy it's closing. That business is closing. They're not making it through the pandemic after 80 years. The business with the manager, it was a woman who used the N-word and had a baseball bat and threatened to, and so we don't want you N-words.
I always get kind of like stumped and stuck when I hear this battle. It's so...
And it was caught on camera.
No, but I mean, for me, like, the pain starts to come in. It's so heavy when it's said, when a white person calls you a nigger, it is crazy, visceral, and painful. And all I barely understand is that just being taught to either fight it fully with all your might and physical, or to know that that's going to happen and then just swallow that pain. That's pretty much, there's only two ways to look at it. I'm reminded of my upbringing. I'm reminded of the famous writer Baldwin. Because real talk, you're just not supposed to let anybody call you that.
But if you're a child, if you're a kid,
that's why I said it's to me.
It's like there's a whole bar of racists.
To me, it's like a child molester.
Sitting there.
To me, it's like a child molester. It's like, to me, I'm sorry for using the word rape, but I'm trying to describe how heavy that feels.
Well, apparently, I mean, I would need to do more research because I don't know if they were actually prosecuted. I know that they were charged, but it sounds like maybe they were not prosecuted to the full extent that they could have been and that they should have been, or at all. I'm just reading up about it. I honestly don't know all of the details myself, and to be honest, I struggle sometimes having black children myself with opening myself up to stories like that have to do with black children, because it affects me too in a way.
It's going to happen to them.
Right, because it, I guess this is an interesting place where it intersects, right?
What do you mean?
I'm not a person of color, but my children are black, right? So I'm the mother. I still, like, the reaction, right? Like, the heaviness of reading these stories and knowing those are my, like, I feel like those are my babies too, right? Like, those are my babies.
Will be your babies.
You know what I mean? Like, it feels like what happened to the 13-year-old up the street, and I know that there's no way that I could possibly, right? But it still feels like those, like, that's our babies. Like, it's the babies in our community, like, in black community, like, those, like, I feel like those are our babies, right? Like, I want to, physically harm, I want to so bad, I want to rip down somebody, like, when I allow myself to touch on that, right? Like, it takes an unheard of amount of self-control to compose myself. I don't know how the mother of the 13-year-old, I don't know what I'll do. I think the only thing that would keep me from doing, knowing that I'm better, I don't know. I don't know as a white person. Would I maybe be most likely to get arrested? Right? I'm the mother of, who knows, of black boys. But if I throw myself in front of them and, do the things that I would want to do to the people who are going to harm them, would they come and arrest me? Because the police show up and they arrest the mom or dad of color who's defending the babies, right? So I don't know. In my case, are they going to arrest the white person?
This is half the reason why I'd rather. This is half.
They show up and coddle the white people. They show up and coddle the white people in our neighborhood. Literally take them into the back of their cop cars. I've seen it with my own two eyes, and drive them around and give them a drink of water, and pat them on the back. Oh, you did the right thing. Thanks for calling us and making a report.
That's right. That happened.
That happened after he hosed down kids chalking in the damn road. Taking a hose to black people isn't cool. Man. Anyways, I get really upset and stomp on my feet, and I'm sorry to the sound stuff or whatever you're going to need to do later on. But I'm also facing some of the whole white fragility thing too, because I saw a post that was made on one of our local things. It's white people who are doing the work, you need to stop sitting on your butt and just telling other people to Google search for themselves, actually, do the work and post the things. Well, this is one of the things that I don't feel like I could post on, because it's heavy. I wasn't ready to dig up all of the news articles about these two kids who live in the same neighborhood that our kid went to school in, being called the N-word and threatened at this place that we've gotten gyros right next door to this place. Right. You know what I mean? This is a community we're in.
So right on that same four corners, that's where there's a lot of white people that have Black Lives Matter signs right now, putting their signs up. And this is within 50 yards from that place that's getting closed.
Well, no. That's a whole different intersection. That's a different intersection. We're not down near, no.
Okay. Sorry. I thought
by the car wash. We're by the car wash. We're across the street from the car wash where we got gyros.
Oh. Okay, I got you.
Do you?
I do.
By where I had massages.
You said Proud Boys aren't there.
Yeah, Proud Boys hang out at that bar. That's one of their watering holes. So it's like a racist watering hole where all the good old boys hang out. Not good.
What were you saying about something about this white fragility, whereby white people are saying, why don't you just put more information?
No, black people are saying that. Black people are saying, one of the ways that you white people are messing up, those of you who are doing the work.
Oh, you're forwarding people off to go Google it.
You're getting angry. What are you? You're so righteous that you can't go find a link and post it for them. Right. Go find out the information and post a link so that they can actually access the information.
Right.
Yeah, and I have absolutely. Well, and here's the thing.
Can we slow this down for a second? Because I feel like this is so key and important to what I was talking about.
Because white people get up on their righteous thing.
Well, I feel like we need to slow things. Not we, but the universe of everybody needs to slow things down so that we can actually. I feel like we're all. This is like Punch Drunk Love. I love that movie, but like
I know.
we're
Pay
all.
attention to that movie.
But it's not just about this. It's not about the movie. But Punch Drunk Love is like we all kind of love what we love, and also kind of love some other things that are going on over there. So if you look at people of color as one whole, we like some of the stuff that's going on here in our America, and then the people that are over here, like we like some of the stuff that's going on in the people of the color world. So it's Punch Drunk in this way that we all live and associate with each other. But what's not happening is we're not trying to connect. We're not connecting the feels. Like they're in their feelings on purpose. I'm in my feelings on purpose. I love that black women, I'm assuming, were the ones who said or saying this thing about.
Well, they put up like a general, because one of the things that they're seeing
it's my exact same message too. I'm tired of watching people not do the extra part where you actually figure it out. I'm saying the same thing to you. I said earlier.
Yes.
Like it hurts me that it's half-assed all the time. Like I've actually gotten mad at you, and I said I'm sorry, but I'm like, it doesn't look like you're doing what you're not thinking about what you're doing as much as you're doing what you can think. Like it comes to you and you do it, but you're not going like you're not going to becoming a satellite going, how is it being received and how am I helping it? Because getting mad at other white folks is not going to help anything.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta help. Let's come here. Let's talk about it.
Like,
unless they're being blatantly racist.
I don't know if it's a phase that all white folks who end up going into anti-racist work get into, but where you're still kind of in your like
stage
like
two.
The huge band's been like ripped off, and you're like ah, and then you like look at all of the other white people around you and you go ah, and then some of those white people are like inspired to maybe like start looking into things themselves, but some of them are just like they're not ready to yet, and so they either just like cut you off and then you're estranged from your family, or they like. And your friends, or they fight you, and then you just it's just it can be a real mess. It can be a real mess, and like
what does your fragility feel like? You feel like, oh my god, I am making mistakes here?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, it's getting a little bit quicker to like move through that, because like it doesn't do you any good to like sit there and then you just end up like frozen. Like what often happens is like white people will get like their feelings hurt and then they'll stop, right?
That's what I feel.
And then they'll be like, right. That's what's happening the most, and it sucks, and it sucks.
Because you get to stop.
Right. Well, and that was one of the things that was just like being acutely, like more and more and more acutely aware of when I'm engaging and doing and not engaging, and then where it's not like totally, what's it called when not oil and water, like when things like merge, like when it's just like when it's like daily, like when it's just like daily, like it like more intuitive, and it's a daily practice and a daily like where you're like living, eating, breathing, and it just becomes a part of who you are and a part of your life and a part of whatever it is that you're gonna do. Like, right. But that's the weird thing. That's the weird thing about it. I can speak from whatever little tiny, minuscule experience that I've had is, becoming like it's a weird experience. I don't know if I want to use the word weird for it, but it's
here's the thing that's interesting. It's like it's a re-education of self. Like if it says on the Delphi Oracle, know thyself, or Plato said, know thyself.
It feels like, oh damn, that's me.
You just knew yourself, proverbial you, people knew themselves, and then all of a sudden they have to unfold all of this stuff that they don't know, and then address it, and that's that kind of Band-Aid. And I think it's happening on the left and the right. I think the left is going full bore, but they don't know where they're going, and they stop when they're scared, and then the right's going to tilt, and not knowing what they're addressing or if there's even anything that they can do. They don't know what they're like. I heard.
They don't know what to do. They're just running around out there with their guns.
I heard a 50-something-year-old man crying on one of those like NPR or some kind of news report. He's like, it was on the news actually. He was crying because he's like, I have a great love for my president, and I don't know who's lying to who, but I can't. What are we gonna do without him? They don't understand. But I'm like. Everybody's racing, but here's what's interesting about. I don't know if it's my upbringing or if it's just black folks' upbringing, but I keep hearing people of color say the same type of thing. All the people that I hear speak about this subject of interculturalism. Because that could be a positive way to talk about what we're talking about. Black Lives Matter is not Black Lives Matter. It's interculturalism. We are a part of the culture, guys. Let us all talk about how that works and how that doesn't work. Don't be worried. What the point I'm trying to make here is that everybody I hear talk about it that is of color, and Republican and Latino, because I have a few people that I respect that are doing that as well. They're saying the same thing. They're saying, don't forget how long it takes to educate yourself.
A long time.
Yes, if you look at our schooling principles and how that formula, you learn something, then you review it, then you learn it, and you relearn another part of it, review, and then test. And nobody's getting tested unless you're in that space. I'll call it a marketplace where you're confronting the racist hand in hand. That's a test.
And as a white person, you have to conscientiously choose to put yourself into those spaces.
Yeah, you were talking about being ready and not being ready. And education, if you're going to get...
It can be real harmful.
Right. So I didn't have a formal education.
I've been harmful.
I didn't have a formal education in my passion, acting and theater and all of those things. So I decided to go to LA, and I said, I'm going to give myself a master's degree in LA. Because I knew that the body of that space meant more than the actual performing. So I went there for over 4 years, so I can get a master's degree. I didn't. But my point is that's how I look at things. And what I'm saying is here, this is year one of a lot of people stepping up to the plate to receive information and educate themselves. No.
This is year one of them.
This is your freshman year, is what I'm trying to get to.
What I see is this is like year one of them even learning that the history that they learned isn't real.
Okay.
Like, they're not even in step one freshman year of like...
Well, I think that's what...
I understand.
College is a lot
so
like that.
many people are in shock.
Wait, college is a lot like that. College is like...
Well, like you're shocked that it's even happening? See, I feel like you're not shocked that it's happening. I feel like you have... I feel like once college is happening, you have, looked at the colleges, you filled out the application forms, you, know where you're going. It might be a shocking experience once you get there, but there's a little bit of foundation for what to expect or whatever.
No, you're right. It's very interesting. I can't... It's so hard...
Well, and you get past the white guilt, oh my God, you can have, you can spend the rest of your life stuck in white guilt and being unable to, move anywhere past that, right? And that's, that's another weird term, right? The white guilt term. Right. Just guilt. Like white fragility. We're throwing around the terms.
Not so fragility, but I'm understanding and I'm learning about it. Because they're like, what did I say earlier? I was talking about white guilt is like...
Oh, well, you asked me what it felt like, right? And I don't feel like I clearly answered. But it felt like reading the post that was so clearly calling out something that I did. And it's not only something that I did, but it's something that I do that I didn't realize was so awful. And that I also had to do a lot of introspection on why do I do it about certain things versus other things?
I've asked the same question about
typically, when it has to do with black children... is when I tend to err on the side of Google it yourself, MNFer. They'll ask a question, they'll be like, well, where are the stats, or where's the this, or where's the that, right? About maybe we're talking about the school to prison pipeline, and we're talking about something, right? Is where I tend to be you've obviously got Google, do whatever, right? Because it is traumatic. It's traumatic to be the mother of black children and to have to go over all of this stuff and go and learn the stats and read the stories about all of the black kids that are getting gunned down, that are getting murdered and killed, and whose killers are not getting frickin' prosecuted or held responsible or held accountable, and they just walking around free all day. It's traumatic.
So, your son...
So that's where I learn I get caught up on. When it has to do with babies, that's especially where I get caught up on. I don't feel like I have any other kind of I gotta dig around in there some more on that, right?
So you're saying it's emotion. That's happening inside your body.
Yes. And other times, I am honest. Other times, sometimes it's pure exhaustion. It's you're getting bombarded by so many racists saying stupid stuff that
Is that why you guys went after the council person? Because of the...
Correct.
The kids were directly involved. When you first told me about this council person...
She would have been gotten after anyways, but mama bear instincts surely went into place, and I was not with the babies.
Weren't you the...
Yes.
antithesis? Weren't you the catalyst for
No,
the problems that were brought to her?
I'm not sure. I feel like the kids would have maybe spoken for themselves. They're like,
well, first of all, they're kids of color.
Right. I feel like our youth leaders. I feel like our community's youth leaders would like.
How old are they?
Oh, geez, we're talking middle school. We're talking, I believe,
13 through 16, right?
Younger. I think maybe even like 12, 11.
See, this is the problem that people are not understanding.
Like 11 through 18, like.
Everyone's getting educated right now.
By these babies.
First
of all, by these babies. So our city council invited and asked these children, these youth, to be involved in weighing in on a resolution that has to do with anti-racist matters in our community, right? A resolution, like actual like city hall resolution, things getting passed at a systemic level, moving and shaking, right? There was also something that happened, I don't know how long ago, like within the last year, I'm sure, a year or two, but maybe even lesser time than that. That was another resolution. I don't know if they were consulted on it or whatever happened, but anyways, I do know that it was only within the last couple of years or so, like, that we even have a Black Lives Matter chapter. That I was like, whoa, remember? And then boom, we were visiting Black Santa in the North End. I was like, mind blown.
What's her last name? I'm trying to read your.
Oh, do we? Because anybody can look it up and then they'll know where we live. McConnell.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
McConnell. She's Japanese.
I believe so. I believe.
What did she say? Just like to the point.
Okay,
what did she say? What was
the meeting was pretty much. Oh, first of all,
we don't have a lot of time.
First of all, I don't know how resolutions or things in council meetings come up, but this was saved till the very end of the meeting, so it was like 10 p.m. at night, which is stupid.
People often say that when that happens, they try to not have something that worked, right? They try to manipulate the people that can vote or have a say or speak out about something. That's what people have said for years.
Right.
For tens and 20s of years.
Priority, whatever they're prioritizing. Anyways, I honestly don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, that's one of the first things that I noticed about this particular meeting is that it was like maybe after 10. I don't know. It's close to 10, 9:45 p.m. I don't know. Second of all, they were invited to be there that night. All the kids were listening in who were a part of this resolution that was getting voted on, that was getting, like whatever passed or moving to the next stages. So they read it out loud. So they even posted their names on their Zoom meeting, right? Because we're in a pandemic, so that you're not like showing up to City Hall, you're in a Zoom meeting. And they posted up all of the kids' names and everything. And then they went through all of this stuff, right? Like they read it out loud and they talked about, first of all, it's primarily white people who are sitting there trying to define racism. That's a problem. Not everybody in our obviously, we're talking about somebody who, one of our council members who is Japanese. And I don't know her full heritage. I don't know her full heritage. I don't know her full.
She married into a last name that's someone who was in the.
And what if I'm wrong? I could be wrong. Yeah. Honestly, like I just saw in the threads of all the conversations that she is Japanese, and I took it for what it was. I did not dig. And where was I? In any case, they define it, or I don't know. They kind of stumble through that, but then they go through the wording of this stuff, and then they talk about like whether they're okay, like good with the wording, and they say like whatever that is. Well, nothing even needed to be said anymore. Like it just could have been like left at whatever it was. And this particular council member found it necessary to speak, because it's not like they're sitting, right? Like you have to like do some like hit your unmute and do stuff. You can't just so on the Zooms and just sort of carried on about how racism affects everybody, and in particular. And she named off a few groups of people. Heartbreakingly, she even talked about her own experience with racism and said something about, looks at whether it be like looks that she gets in the parking lot at the grocery store or something. I don't know. It was
because
like
she's an Asian American.
Right? That's what I'm assuming. Right? She didn't specify because she didn't say that anyway. So that's that. But then, in particular, what really stood out is a very common racist comparison that happens that specifically racist people uphold and use and perpetuate, which is comparing the experience that the Irish had in America, right, to the experience of African Americans and Black people in America. I specify African Americans here just simply because of the lineage to enslavement in Africa, and we have a lot of, Black citizens here who are not from places where...
Right.
But still, like that is a very commonly perpetuated racist thing that happens, which commonly leads to a bootstrap theory, which is like, well, the Irish pulled themselves up and do what's wrong with the Black people?
You guys went after that because cool. They were doing that in front of and towards, and she was doing that in front of and towards the situation pertaining to the people of color that are all youth who are trying to pass legislation. So she was watering down and also inadvertently...
She basically, all lives mattered.
All lives matter in a worse way.
In the worst way.
Because she was saying that your life is equivalent to this group of people from back when we were formulating America who are equal to you. So it's just, that's why it's all the same. It's not that bad. Your racial issues...
Well, and she didn't say those words, right? She didn't say...
As much as I just did.
Right. She didn't say that, but what she did say is how that is said and done, and it gets watered down in the ways that happens.
So here's the thing.
May I just finish really quick? I do want to give credit to the two other council members who spoke up, or the two other meeting members. They spoke up. Hands went flying up, right? Because when you're on Zoom, like you can, if you're attending.
What's the hands?
So on Zoom, you could hit.
Is there a hand next to you?
Yeah, you can raise your hand on a Zoom call.
And a hand comes up?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, we think so. We hope so. I don't know. I haven't. No, because I thought it was over.
So you saw...
I was gonna watch it afterwards because I was putting you were working and I was putting our kids to sleep, and so I was like, I'm gonna watch that later on.
You saw the problematic BS, and then you were like, oh,
well, no. Okay, I was nursing Peanut to sleep, or I was doing something at 9:45 or 10 at night,
right.
And I saw the mom's post. The 13-year-old who was in on the meeting, who was also... I saw her post. I saw our people, our family peoples. I saw our peoples
going out.
Who went, oh no, they didn't just. And I was like, it is 9:45. I was like, and then and so I started staying around my phone. Yeah, and then and then what my response was is I formulated a post. With the link.
Yeah, but I want to know.
I blasted it on social
media.
Actual
outcome. So I'm going to use the word attack.
The actual outcome.
Your attack on her was you're wrong. And then what was the outcome of that?
Okay, so we don't know yet, right?
No, but what is where we at? Just where
we're at right now is we have heard that there's going to be an apology email
to kids,
to the youth leaders, to the kids that.
This is risky.
Which will most likely sound like a bunch of excuses, is what we're guessing. So that's going to be interesting.
And what's interesting is that you're also saying that those moms and you are preparing those kids for them receiving said email that might have excuses.
This is how I think they're used to it already with the amount of work that these kids have had to do.
But
chosen to do. They haven't had to do anything.
I want to point out something. This is how people of color work. We do stuff, and then we all pow. Forgive me, I can't say the word powwow. Now, what's the word I'm appropriating, huh? I always say powwow, and that's appropriation and also negative and also racist, I guess, right? For me to say that?
I would say, I can't tell you that.
I'm asking you a question because you're my wife and friend. Tell me what it is that I'm...
I think it depends on what you're talking in reference to. So if you're indigenous...
When people are coming together.
If you're indigenous yourself...
Yes.
Then, I can't.
Okay, you're not.
I'm not the person.
I wish you would have some literal right now. I'm just asking you to tell me what people say. Don't pretend.
If a white person says powwow, says or refers to their people as a tribe,
okay, go ahead.
That's offensive and appropriation and not cool.
That's what I want to
say. And that's the way I used to in my dance classes. I used to say stuff like that years ago, and I was like,
the point I was trying to get to is that what people of color typically do is they're in a situation that's like this. And then once something is about to be allocated back, like this letter, they talk and they go, we're prepared for it to be like this. That kind of preparation what I'm saying is that kind of preparation is a very rooted in one, maternal instincts, because there's all moms involved in the situation, and babies are involved preparing for this possible outcome of everyone coming together and saying, "You're wrong, councilwoman, for talking that way."
Right.
2 council people stepped up. And
we have a lot of people are saying it's wrong, and a lot of people are defending her, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What I like about all of this is that stuff. This is that test stuff where people get to go and you work some of those muscles out. Dr. Cornel West. So to the point of this lady even talking about the Irish and the stuff in history, Dr. Cornel West. He's a poet more than he is a teacher. He's a philosopher more than he is just a regular human. If you listen to any of his speeches over the last 3 to 5 years, he keeps saying the same thing about this part of the subject matter, and that is that, and it's just like what you're saying. And I'm going to kind of which is great because I like comparing my wife to Dr. Cornel West. That's interesting.
That's an honor.
He would call you sister anyway because he does that because he's a Christian, devout Christian who calls everyone brother and sister no matter how ugly they are. That's what we could be doing, by the way. But what he does say is this. He says, and I'm capstoning it into one microcosm to this situation.
That conversation that we watched.
I'm capstoning what Dr. Cornel West says in this way. The difference between the Irish and the difference between African American or African plight in America is that the Irish knew where they came from, and they knew that they came from there into this plightful America, and they were oppressed by other white or other European, affluent, privileged at that time period racial groups, because they created divisions of their own white sets. Black people were enslaved on the belly of a ship, brought here without the traffic.
Chattel slavery is very different than what the Irish.
That's what he talks about.
Slavery.
He talks about the difference of that is completely stark. It's not even comparable because this is what white people did wrong too. What white America did wrong is they stopped talking about where they're from, because that pertinency, that identifying with your Polish, identifying with your Norwegian, or identifying with your French European, or your European, or your English, is a very empowering and not risky thing to do. It is not wrong to bring up the culture and adopt those things into your life. If you are in the age bracket of 18 to 35, you should try to marry yourself to some of those understandings so that you can actually lift us all up in your understanding. Because what that lady was doing sounds completely inappropriate. Forgive me if she's Japanese American. It's way bad.
Well, and I also
like
called out for being a white person talking about a Japanese person as well. I did acknowledge what she said about her own heartbreaking experience as far as
being an Asian American. Yeah. It's not.
I did my best, yeah. And I do need to work on my eloquence when I type and write, because I have a lot of run-on sentences, but at the same time, I'm still gonna keep hollering.
There's the person that jumps on the hand grenade. And this is this is obviously a war comment, but there's a person that jumps on the hand grenade and you can still catch shrapnel. What sucked about the situation is that the kids were on top of this hand grenade.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And this is the bullshit.
Yep.
The kids were on top of the hand grenade. You're gonna catch that shrapnel, which is like the extra pieces of metal, but we cannot let them explode for nothing. We cannot let them, who is them, this lady in this particular situation, or that guy.
I wonder how much they got paid to help educate City Hall, to help educate the city council members. I wonder if the children...
Probably collectively only...
Well, no, but anything?
Low amount.
Anything? Did they pay the kids anything for their time to sit in on that meeting? For how long did they have to wait until their resolution came up that evening? Or for how long?
That would make me upset. I don't want to get upset because our show has to.
Or how much time did they spend on, helping city council formulate
what's
any
it called
of this stuff?
What's the new thing that's called when you can hire companies to come help educate you on how to...
They're doing that too. They're going to do 3 90-minute classes. They just finished their second one. I don't know what they're calling it, some dumb watered down version, I feel like.
What I'm trying to get to is the point of What is it when a company brings in a specialist
to
come educate your company on how you can be more...
Well,
what's the phrase?
There's DEI and there's anti-racist.
That's
and there's different things, though. Diversity, equity, diversity... What's that?
No.
Okay. DE, diversity, equity, and in oh jeez, it's so late at night. Anyways, anti-racist, and that is different. DEI. I don't know. I can't remember what the I stands for right this second. My brain's escaping me.
Well,
for so many hours.
Yeah, and we gotta shut this down. But what I was gonna say is that if they're actually bringing in kids to do
inclusion.
If they're bringing
is it inclusion?
If they're bringing in kids to do the work of adults and not paying them money for it, we got a problem.
Well, they definitely hired an adult to do training. 3 90-minute trainees, but what are they? I hope they don't just do that one time. Like, okay, like it's like give them. Oh, and even some of the racists are like, oh, they're just giving you a bone. Like that is some of the stuff that's being talked about in our community. White people, our white neighbors are like, they're just giving you a bone.
Who's giving you a bone?
City council. That's just what they do. Nothing's gonna change around here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you don't think that people know that? Like, do you not think these kids know that? Do you not think that
they just watched every generation before them not get what they're supposed to get,
right,
and have understanding.
You don't think that they know what it feels like or sounds like or looks like if they're just getting a bone?
I'm just thankful that people aren't. I'm thankful for people trying.
I'm saying it in a good way.
I'm thankful for people trying. We got to end our show. We hope you have a good Thanksgiving time and space between the time.
Reflect on your Thanksgiving.
Reflect on your introspect. I think that's a really...
Introspect.
Like personal introspection. I think it's great that if you can look nationally and say, this is our history, but really look at your history.
Yeah, and
right?
still be grateful and think, I hope I didn't flashlight. What? I got my flashlight ready. We're going to have to cut that out. With that, we would have to at least blur everything.
Would you like to close out our show with saying our show name?
Oh, do we do that? Yeah, we do that.
Let's
okay.
do the button.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. How do we do a button? What's a button? Would you expect me to know how to do these things that I don't know how to do?
I don't. It's just our show. We just say, another episode of Borderline.
Okay. Thank you for watching another
episode of Borderline Racist Marriage. That was hard?
That was hard? Hard? What does hard mean?
That was hard for you to do. Hard. H-A-R-D. That was hard for you to say what you just said?
Okay, well, now that there's like a sing-song and a not sing-song, I'm like, do we sing it? Do we not sing it? And I get kind of caught up in it, but I don't know about hard.
I would like to see the Borderline Racist Marriage dance.
What is that?
I don't know. I'm hoping you choreograph something for us.
I don't have a Borderline Racist Marriage dance. That's not it.
Let's look at this camera. Let's look at that camera. Let's look at this camera.
Why?
Let's look at
what
that
does
camera.
that do later on in post?
Ah!
What does that do? Wait, what does that do? What does that do in post-production?
It's like this.
What? What?
That'll do me.
Looking at cameras does that?
Yeah. Stop these joints. You stop the camera for me? You're making funny face. Are you doing it on purpose?
Yeah. Sometimes I like to see what I'm going to look like when I'm old and don't have teeth. How do you? If I make it that far, a lot of times I don't feel like I'm making it that far.
Old and no teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah.